I thought, oh, I'm a musical theater guy. And the whole direction I got for that was stop singing so pretty. Get old and uglier. And we like the vocal fry type of thing. And so that was very, very interesting to fight musical theater excellence.
Are you ready for a great adventure?
I usually like to start with, like, how did this come about? But I think the more interesting question in this case is, how long ago did this come back? I mean, like, from, like, the first seed of it, how long?
I mean, it depends how you count it, but talking to Phil and Jackie, they've dreamt of telling this film for 3 decades. This story has been placed on their heart, and they've really carried it through their lives. So to reach this moment, yeah, it's 3 decades. For myself, I think it's 10 years on this project. For Rita, a little bit longer than that, a real journey.
Rita, what were the initial challenges and also talk about the perseverance and the passion in making sure that here you are at the Academy for a special screening of David?
Well, this is such a bonus, but in picking up on what Tim was saying, though, Phil and Jax initially wanted to do this film like Braveheart, Gladiator, 300, like a live action. And then 11 years ago, we were like, you know, we're an animation studio. Like, let's do this animation. So the big challenge, of course, is the story of David in the Bible is intense. It's not a family story. We really wanted to make it a family film. So getting it to that point, what do we leave out? How do we still keep it super authentic? How do we tell the story which does justice to who David was as a person? And then it's a musical as well. So we had all those complexities to fit in. Yeah.
I would love to hear about the animation. What informed your approach to the style when it came to the not just the human characters, but with this whole cast of animals as well?
Yeah, no, so one of the big things is actually we get it straight from the art. We look at our character designs, and we had some incredible designs done by Borja and his team. The other thing that sort of drives the style of the animation is sort of the tone of the film we're trying to tell. We're kind of in a grounded naturalism where we push the caricatured nature, kind of dependent on the design of the character. So like a character like Akish, his animation is a little bit more pushed, but characters that are a little bit more grounded they're a little bit more authentic and relatable in the animation styling.
Talk about cast. Like, how did you really come, especially focusing on our panelists here today, getting the right Davids and the right Samuel?
So getting the right David, we go all the way back to 2017.
Wow.
And it was casting a worldwide search for like a 15-year-old boy. And Brandon had just graduated from NYU, right?
Yeah.
And just got signed by DDO, and this was his first voiceover audition. And then, of course, when we had the full story and the pictures and everything, and thinking about Samuel, it can't just be any actor. It's got to be somebody who's, can sing in Hebrew, and there's maybe a faith element because of the heart, and that's where we found Brian. And he actually does like messianic services and stuff like that, so he was the perfect Samuel.
I would love to hear about your audition. If this is your first, I mean, that's a hell of a first.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Also, thank you guys for being here. I know it's an early screening, so appreciate it. You know, when you first get started, I don't even know if it was officially signed. It was like, well, we'll test the waters. We'll fill it out. And so they sent me this audition, and I read the breakdown, and it described the film as kind of a mixture of Tangled meets Prince of Egypt. And I was like, I just want to see this movie. So, I submitted it, thought nothing of it. A month and a half later, they call me, yeah, so you have a final callback for David. And afterwards, I just was like, I think I got it. Yeah. Like, I don't know why. I have this feeling. Sure enough, a week later, they call me and that I get it. And I was ecstatic, and I thought we were doing the movie like right away. And I was like, oh, this is incredible.
Welcome to animation.
Yes.
So yeah, we were actually.
And then I find out it's a demo with the hope of a movie. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's still cool. But 8 years later, here we are. So what a journey, yeah.
Brian, I would love to hear what informed your approach specifically as Samuel, and what were, with all of your work, the unique challenges for your voiceover recordings?
This was a gift to be able to do this. The challenges of it were not being too driven for it, too excited. When I saw that, as Brandon said, when I saw the synopsis for the audition alone, the way it was described, it forgive the expression, it made my baby jump. And it got me very, very excited for the prospect of something so beautiful. I also have a very direct tie to the Holy Land. I also am a musical theater veteran, so singing the blessing song and other material, and particularly in Hebrew, was odd because I thought, oh, I'm a musical theater guy. And the whole direction I got for that was stop singing so pretty. Get old and uglier and decrepit. And we like the vocal fry type of thing. And so that was very, very interesting to fight musical theater excellence and give it honesty and age.
I would love to hear, Rita, about finding the right directors, Phil and Brent. What made them the right directors? What was your collaboration with them like?
Yeah, so actually, Phil, Brent, and I have been working together for almost 25 years. So kind of all our films we've done together. Phil is the one who had the vision of David from 30 years ago. He tells a great story. He was 14 years old, and his mum was incredible. You'd seen a dedication to mothers, because she walked into the house one day, Phil's sitting there with his brothers, and they're just like sitting in the lounge, and she comes in and she's like, "What are you guys doing? When David was your age, he was slaying giants and killing bears and lions." She was like, "Get out there and go have some adventures," you know? And then Brent is just an incredible story person. Like, he wrote the script, and he just really, in the way that him and Phil work together, is just magical.
I would also like to hear about assembling the right team of songwriters. All the songs, like there's something just so catchy about all of them.
It's been the most amazing experience. I mean, a lot of my work producing has been with the animation teams, with the CG teams, and for the longest time, we lived without songs, and we had scratch vocals and sort of stand-ins, and then suddenly one day a song drops, and you can just feel in the cinema, oh wow, this is so much bigger than what we expected. I think that's what's so beautiful about the film is the we don't disappear to kind of a magical place for a song and then come back. It's deeply embedded in the film itself. And I think, Rita, you can share a bit about finding the songwriters themselves.
It was a big and long process, and the songs had to drive the story forward. But that's who David was, right? He was Israel's singer of songs. He was the original songwriter. He wrote half the Psalms. And so, as Tim said, it wasn't just kind of tacked on. It was very intentional. And so every song drives story forward.
About recording the songs, how did that work? What was that like?
Doing the songs was, at first the thought was kind of intimidating, because I'm an actor who can sing, but I'm not like Phil Wickham, who's like world class. I had to think about it less about singing, but more acting the songs. Mm-hmm. With animation, you gotta know what's happening on screen, because it really changes the vocals. I'll briefly share a story about Adventure Song, which Jonas wrote. That was kind of a David and Goliath moment for me. We did the song, and it felt okay. And then Jason Halbert, head of music, was like, "Okay, great job. We're gonna redo the song and raise the key as high as we can." And so we did that, and when we did the verses, it was like, okay, we got it. We got the key. And then we got to the chorus, and now it's very high. And I was like, mentally I knew I could hit these notes, but my throat wasn't letting me. I started to have a lot of doubt, and I could feel the room like, I don't know if we're going to get this. And we took a break, and we went back at it, and I don't know what happened, but it was like a light switch, and I just like let go. And it came out so easy, and like I had to stop. I got emotional. It was kind of a David and Goliath moment, and we got it. So I'm that song has a big place in my heart. So
Brian, I'm just curious, like how often during the making of this movie did you work with other actors, or were you just solo in recording your performance the whole time?
I was never with another actor in the actual studio, which is also a very a familiar aspect of voiceover. I honor writers because I think if the writing is excellent, it informs everything. Absolutely. And the actor they won't be off in left field completely on another wavelength from where the actual through line should be. It'll come alive in a true way if the writing's excellent. And I believe the writing on this was so good that it just kind of brought it out. Plus, you can't beat the Bible. It's the best-selling book of all time.
What is it about David versus Goliath that is so relatable for so many things, whether you're describing like a story in a movie or describing a person going after big corporations? Oh, it's a real David versus Goliath. What is it about the story?
I mean, it's the ultimate underdog story, right? And I think every one of us has had a situation like that in our lives, right? Where there's something daunting, there's something overwhelming, there's something that, by all appearances, we would never be able to beat or conquer. And I think, there's a saying that I love that says, be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting some kind of a battle. And I think it's so true.
I think something we wrestled with during production and particularly in the writing was going, what is David feeling as he steps out onto that battlefield, right? Because yes, he's the underdog, but we all know the story. We know he wins. So there's almost no tension there. So what's going on in this moment? And I think the key for us to unlock was realizing that David's actually, he's got a different perspective as he walks into that field, right? He knows it's actually not about him, and it's not by his strength. It's not his particular talent or his bravado or his courage. He's just there knowing that he's not alone. That was a huge relief for all of us on the production crew to go, okay, yeah, like we are David, we are tiny, we don't quite know what we're doing, but we believe, and we believe we can tell this story. So let's go tell the story.
Thank you, everyone, for an amazing conversation about David. Thank you all for being here.